So I just got a phone call from Brian asking me to come out and take a look at a cryotherapy machine, maybe cryo storage machine. All I know is that the unit is not manufactured here in the US. They have no support team here in the US, and I've never seen anything like it before. So let's jump into something that I've never done before to troubleshoot something I know nothing about.
So what we've got here is a LifeCube brand chiller. So this is a remote condenser. We've got a control interface here, and it does have an alarm. Actually, it's an A16, which is water pump overload warning. That isn't the main problem. It's a nice little touch here. We've actually got some pressure gauges, both low pressure, high pressure, and water pressure. So the setup is ECM fan, from what I can tell, condenser. We've got our compressor here, which is R410A. What we have here is a water pump. Two water lines, which I will admit don't look the best, but it looks like it's a cascade system. So this is a really odd chilled water system. It's got looks like a brine tank almost, and it is, it's hot. So from what I can tell, right, compressor runs, hot gas goes up, goes to the heat exchanger outside, variable fan speed. Ramps up, ramps down to maintain head pressure to create liquid. That liquid then comes down, right, out over to what looks like a nice little liquid receiver that then comes back up and around through sight glass to what looks like our metering device, our TXV, that goes into the, we'll say, adiabatic cooler here. It's this tank of water that's designed to remove the heat from the water from inside. So there is a whole separate system, which I'll show you here in a second, inside with multiple compressors designed to cool down a room to a negative 167 degrees, from what I was told, quickly. And it does that by allowing this system here to remove the heat from inside. So this water lines are actually almost too hot to touch, both on the inlet and the outlet. The tank, obviously, we've got steam once I open it up there, so that tells me that we are circulating water from inside to outside. The bearings in this pump don't sound the best, which you can actually see if I turn this on. So we are removing heat from inside, and inside looks good. They said they tied into it remotely. I guess they have access to it over the internet. What they're saying now is that's something to do with the outside system, and I believe it. So water pump will run, circulate water inside, remove the heat. Water gets really hot. This compressor will not run for more than 2 minutes, so we need to investigate to see what's going on there. And as you can tell, it does not sound the best. What I'm surprised is there's no filter. I don't see any filters on the inlets of the pump. I don't see any filters on the outlets. So this is pretty wild. It's like I don't know, brake line hose that's been covered in plastic. It says AC SR hose. They're using for pressure. Looks like this is low pressure. Cut in differential, cut out differential with Danfoss connections, both on discharge and suction. Then we've got pressure gauges on the system, but I am curious as to what we're looking at here. We do have some oil on top of this, but yeah, sight glass fills slightly with liquid before it cuts off. So let's get some gauges and gauge up and see what we can see on the pressure side as to maybe why this compressor is cutting off. It's saying it's kicking off because of water pump overload warning, but also it's on there twice, water pump overload warning. So you've got two different water pump overload warnings. And there's a compressor overload warning, which we're not getting, but it is turning off that Danfoss compressor a while after. So doesn't make a lot of sense. So let's go get some tools. Let's gauge up before we call the boys in Germany to ask them what the heck we're looking at here. And yeah, but it's a pretty interesting piece of equipment. So first observations after gauging up. Here's a pressure differential. By the way, love my Navac stuff here, but 84 degree discharge temp, 278 PSI. 218 psi on the suction, and look at that. My suction line is actually 100.7 degrees. It is roasty toasty. And I haven't checked the temperature of the water in the tank, but I mean, it would make sense if refrigerant is flowing back from the tank that it'd be this hot. But the question is why I want to let the compressor run for an extended period of time. And the way to check that after we've gauged up like this and kind of checked a few things to make sure one's not flat, nothing going on with the refrigeration system, it's to now check the amp draw of the water pump compared to nameplate amps to ensure that we are in fact within the range, because for all we know, it's just got bad bearings in such a short period of time. And that is the reason that it is not operating correctly. So let's pull out our UEI meter and do some testing. So as you can tell, they've got a really amazing sound when it goes into alarm, but we're at 2.73 amps. Motor is rated for 2.5, so it is pulling elevated amps, but it looks like it's got a protection device. So we're gonna power cycle it with our trusty crescent wrench here. Although I do love the sound of that. Looks like it is adjustable on the range. So you've got your rotation protection, phase rotation protection there, and then we've got our, looks like our protection device, lock rotor. So let's see it in action again. What a beautiful sound. We could have just done with the flashing light, but I guess they wanted to take it further and scare the pee out of you when it goes into alarm. So oh yeah, so 5 amps on max. We're still at 2.75. Our amps shoot up to 3.1 when the compressor turns on. And it's tripping. It's tripping only when the compressor comes on. Okay. Need a new unit. So something I skipped over just because I'm excited to see new things and I love to fix things that are broken that I've never learned anything about or know anything about is testing voltage. So when we've got a system that you're going to notice here is actually in German for most of the naming, translated to English here, and you'll notice that our power rating, cooling capacity, kilowatts here, right? Our pressures are in bar, 380 volt, 50 hertz, so none of this stuff is for our North American market here. And so what we should be doing is we should be verifying the voltage that we have coming to this unit. 406 volts, 406 volts, 409 volts. So not your average piece of equipment. This isn't even on 208, 240. So I would even guess, based upon the voltage I see here, right, we are wired for 400 volts, well, 380 from what it says here. That guy over there in the corner was put in just to feed this piece of equipment outside of our market to make this 50 hertz at 400 volts, something you're not going to see out in the wild for air conditioning systems. So now I know the voltage. We can go over to our motor, which would be the next step here, and look at our nameplate. And if we do, you'll see here we've got two different ratings. We've got 220, 230 volts at 50 hertz, and we've also got 380, 400 volts. And so both of these, this looks like a 4.35 amp rating. This is a 2.5 amp rating. I would almost love to see what's inside here to see, is it wired for 220, 230, or is it wired for 400? So it has been running, but that doesn't mean that it was wired for the right voltage. Because remember, when we wire motors like this to the incorrect windings internally at different voltages, there's no telling, maybe we are wired for this, and that's why the amp draws are all over the place. Or out of range now. Man, am I having fun with this one. Okay, so update. Got the water pump to stop tripping, adjusting some parameters, increasing the amp draw rating that it's looking for on the motor.
So once I got that to clear, I was getting a A0 error code, which is a high pressure trip. So our PSI was getting all the way up to 650. Then it would kick. I'd get the annoying buzzing sound. Come to find out that our fan ice cube relay was not energizing when it was getting a command signal like it has right now, 50 volts. So I naturally took my crescent wrench and proceeded to beat it. And I got it to energize again. And now that it has energized, we are in business. So condenser fan is running. No water pump alarms as we speak right now. And head pressure is staying down. Now, I did clean the outdoor coil, right? It's always a good idea when you get a high pressure trip to just go ahead and wash the coil. There's nothing worse than finding out, well, you know, the fan runs, and it was running when I got here. It wasn't running anymore, but it just means that now I've got a clean coil and I've got a fan running. So one less thing for me to have to check the box on. We are not making any liquid yet. From what I can tell, suction line is blazing hot. So my compressor won't be far behind. So let's see what trips next. It's one of these things of whack-a-mole. Now it looks like our temperature is going down. We were at 63 Celsius. We're now at 58. How long she'll perform at this level, we'll see. I'm sure with having a 100 and something degree suction line, we are starting to make some liquid here, it looks like. With having a, yeah, there we go, starting to bubble. With having 100 plus suction line, it's not the best. Yeah, it's crazy hot. This compressor is probably going to overheat. So I might want to give her a little bit of a bath. Give her a little bit of a head start here and see if I can. Now, I don't ideally want to recommend spraying water in a high voltage unit, but, you know, extenuating circumstances and all. We want this thing fixed, right? We do what we can with what we have, maintaining about a 350 head pressure on this system. So suction pressure is about 170, 175, which is actually pretty high. I mean, it's hot. All right, so what do we know about this system so far? We know that it is actually a baby chiller made in Germany, but there's more to it than just that. Now, obviously, we can see on the side here that there's a little bit of a cooling tank, right? It's actually a heat transfer tank. It's called a hot tank, right? It's a normal chilled water system where we're moving heat from outside to inside to actually get rid of the heat generated from the system indoors. Now, remember, this is a cascade system. So this system isn't responsible for actually doing the work inside. No, it's responsible for actually removing the heat that's created from the compression process inside. There's a whole separate system inside that's responsible for doing all of that. This just needs to make sure that it gets the heat out of the water from inside and then transfers it to the refrigerant, which then blows it off in the top of the system up top. Now, the issues with this system is that it tripped on a few different things. Tripped on the water pump. It's down here in the bottom, right? Now, this is a 400 volt unit made in Germany at 50 hertz. And so this water pump is actually pulling somewhere close to 3.25 amps, which is enough to trigger the outdoor board to tell it, hey, amp draw is high. Now, the bearings in this motor don't sound the best, and I found out from the client that this system has actually been sitting for a couple years after they ran it for a year. So who knows what kind of sediments built up inside this pump over time they've come back to. Now, that's not the biggest problem. After I was able to change the programming of the amp draws that it looks for the motor, to then ignore the motor that might be failing with bearings that I can get replaced, the second issue that popped up is the condenser fan motor didn't want to come on anymore. So what happened is our head pressure on our system have some nice little dial gauges here. Look at that, so fancy. Hit 650 PSI over here in the red range. Tripped off on an alarm. And that alarm actually was A0. A0 saying high pressure, warning. So, like any other service technician, I'm gonna do what's best. And instead of just jumping into it, I'm gonna grab the water hose and clean the outdoor coil. In cleaning the outdoor coil, it was filthy, could have been maintained a little bit better, reset the system and turn it back on again. only to come to find out that the head pressure climbs, but nothing, the fan motor does not come on. You'll see here, I've got a fan relay down here in the bottom left. I've got a fan breaker up here in the top right. So what I've done is I've cycled the power on the breaker, ensure that it was good. Then I found down here on this ice cube relay that I had power coming in on the bottom, but not the top. Now, when this relay gets energized with 50 volts on the top, it's supposed to close this ice cube relay and complete the connection for the fan outside. Now, this isn't a variable speed fan in regards to modulating the signal from a control board, from what I can tell, but there is something within this system that tells it, hey, run the fan. Now, we do have some old school controls down here for Danfoss cut-in, cut-outs that they're using as safety devices instead of having a pressure switch, something that looks like actual brake lines too as well, which I found very interesting. But nonetheless, so we got the pump error cleared. Then we had a high pressure issue, cleaned the coil, and actually took my handy crescent wrench and beat the ice cube relay. Ice cube relay is now playing nice and the fan is running. We're now maintaining close to a 400 head pressure as well as a 145 head pressure. Now, when we started with this, our indoor temperature was actually 65 degrees Celsius, which is actually really hot. We've come all the way down to 31 degrees Celsius, which tells me that this system is now running. But here's the thing. When I turned this system on, because this tank was full of hot water, somewhere close to the tune of 150 degrees, it was enough to actually cause my compressor to start to overheat. So I grabbed the water hose to cool down the shell casing. Again, we don't recommend pouring water on high voltage. But for something like this, you want to make sure that we don't trip off from a nuisance alarm on something I know isn't really an issue. With power cycling the system a few times, we found that the system was just adding more and more heat to the water over time, which wasn't allowing me time to actually get the system running to combat that heat. Bit of a system design flaw if you ask me, but with it now, everything is running and we don't have any issues.
Thanks for watching. If you're willing, give this video a thumbs up and drop us a comment. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to stay updated with all of our future videos. And as a quick reminder, HVAC School isn't just a YouTube channel. Dive deeper with us at our main website, hvacrschool.com. Curious for more knowledge on the go? We've got you covered. Tune into the HVAC School podcast, available on all your favorite podcast apps. And while you're at it, join our thriving Facebook group. Also, don't miss out on our free mobile applications available for both iPhone and Android. We're all about community. For techs, by techs.